Hello, it's Miss Daily Wall here, and we're gonna take a minute to go through some of the lessons and talk about some features and sort of figure out how to take notes on them. So we're gonna start with the first lesson, and I'll just periodically do these. I didn't put my face in them because it seems like there's a lot going on with two screens and notes and stuff. So here we are. So first thing is first, when you're taking notes on Florida Virtual, it's really important to put down the section number. So like, I personally would go ahead and, do the whole name, but at least you want to break it up by section so that when you're doing, mostly so that when you're doing your DBA at the end, you know what like you're talking about. So I want to take a minute and like talk through the lesson, right? So like here's our first page. This, I don't know if you knew about this yet, but this is actually text to speech. So all of these tools right here will read this to you, and also they will translate if English isn't your first language or whatever. And if it's down and you don't want it, then you can pop it up. But it's really like you just highlight da da da, and then you hit play. And it'll read it to you. So that's going to be the first thing. And then the second thing is you really want to like use all of these things. So if you'll notice, it says, will I ever use this in real life? And real talk, one of your DBA questions is, where am I going to use this in real life? And so you can flip these cards, right? And it tells you places that you'll use algebra in real life and the concepts. So like it's important to read all the things. So that's the real of this page. That's sort of the first. You'll also understand, see up here, this says notes. If you take notes on there, it will save them for you. I wouldn't necessarily do it. Your glossary, if you click on the glossary, it will tell you, like you can find the definition of any vocabulary word that's in the content. You can print anything. Toolbox, let's see what that has. Oh wow, that's got links to all sorts of things and formula sheets that you could use. Order of operations. That is some fancy business. Look at that. So like this would be a great resource. Look at all those resources. Words to symbols. What? Oh my gosh. Totally going to download that and put it in your resource tools. So that is that. Oh goodness. Let's go back to the lesson. And then remember, like these up here are what you use to navigate through the lesson. So let's talk about first things first, right? So first page, okay, we've got algebraic expressions, because now we're going to talk about taking notes. So algebraic expression is a mathematical sentence that contains numbers, variables, and operations like addition, subtraction, etc. Example, x plus 4 is an algebraic expression. So this is actually really important, right? An algebraic expression So this is something you would write down, and then you would write down x plus 4. Okay? The difference between an expression and an equation. So an expression, y plus 6, z times 4. Normally that would be written for z, but I wasn't thinking on the spot. But the really important thing is an algebraic expression does not contain an equal sign. Okay? So that's really, really important. And then variables. What is a variable? If you could respond back to me, I'm sure what you would say is a variable is a symbol or a letter that takes place of an unknown value, usually a number, right? So, symbol or letter that and I'm going to stop this at 10 minutes. And then you can take a break. Or takes the place of own value. So what does that mean, right? That's like X, Y, Z, H sometimes, lots of any letter. So those are like the first things. And now when we come down here, that's a lot of crazy, look at, oh my gosh, that's a lot of things. But let's go ahead and do this. Like, it's really important, right? That we do ooh, she's talking to me. I don't know if you can hear that. Okay. So this was reading this to me. I don't know if you could hear that, maybe. So a variable is the variable is the letter. So, okay, I'm going to write this down. I'm going to write down the equation. What's the equation? I'm going to write down 2x squared minus 3y minus z plus 6. And I'm like legit going to do what they do, right? Okay. So, I'm going to take my green and I'm going to point to this and this and this. And those are variables. So, like, what are tools that you might need to do this? If you're doing it on an iPad, oh, whoa, she talks all the time. So expressions are made up of terms that are separated by a minus sign or multiplication, or right, like those are terms. The different things are separated. So I'm actually going to highlight those. Ooh. Oh, but that's going to be hard. Okay, and those are terms. Even this is a term. And then I'm going to switch back to my pen. Those are terms. All right. And then what do I have? Then I have factors. Huh. So factors create terms, okay? So I'm going to switch my colors. So how could you do this if you don't have an iPad? Well, if you have colored pencils and a highlighter, you could do that. If you have, you could do it on a Google Doc. It might be really time consuming on a Google Doc. But like there are ways that you could take notes on this so that you like you could have the notes. Okay? So you can see I'm writing down all of these things. Coefficients. A coefficient, she like immediately starts talking. The coefficient is the number that multiplies the variable in the term. So all of these things, right? So 2 and 3, and there's actually an invisible 1 right here. Do, 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 do. Those are all coefficients. Fish, coefficients. So these are the important things. And the constant, that's going to be our last. What is a constant? What is a constant in life? How can we relate this to your life? A constant is something that never changes, okay? Right? It remains the same. A rock is a constant. What else? The fact that macaroni and cheese is delicious is a constant. So, unless you don't like macaroni and cheese, and then find your own food group. The fact that coffee is necessary in my life is a constant. So, in math, though, a constant is something that is a number that is not connected to a variable, right? So there's no multiple on this 6 right here that is gonna change it. Like there's nothing that's gonna make it change because there's nothing multiplying it, which means no matter what happens with this equation, it's gonna stay the same, and so it's constant. So that took a long time, but like these are the important notes in just like this first page that you would want to write down so that you could reference them later on. Okay, I'll be back.